So if you're a coach or consultant that is running meta ads right now, this is probably why your leads aren't booking calls, aren't showing up, and aren't buying. So, and it's not because your offer is bad, it's not because your ads aren't working, but it's because the moment someone clicks your ad, they fall into a black hole, right? There's no nurture, there's no follow up, no system running in the background to move them from a cold lead to a ready to buy prospect. So in this video, I'm going to show you the exact framework that we use on what I call the call flow system to plug every single revenue leak in your coaching funnel. And by the end of this video, you're going to walk away with three things, right? Number one is you're going to identify exactly where your sales process is leaking revenue, and you discover the 7 critical touch points between the ad click and the closed deal, where most coaches and consultants are losing leads, no shows, and close lost deals without them even realizing it. Number two is you're going to understand the complete back-end framework that stops those leaks, right? You see the exact email and automation sequences that plugs each one, right? And each one that you're probably missing right now. And number three is you'll get a clear next step to fix your funnel, whether you build it yourself or have us do it. You're gonna know exactly what needs to happen in your back end to start recovering that lost revenue. So let's get into it. Now, here's what most coaches and consultants are doing right now. They're running meta ads or organic. They're sending traffic either straight to a booking page or an opt-in page where they capture leads and they think that's enough, right? They get the lead, they book the call, and then they think that it's gonna close the deal. But here's the problem with that, because that lead is actually cold, right? They just saw your ad 30 seconds ago. They don't know you and they don't trust you, right? And you're expecting them to book a call and show up ready to hand you a 4 grand, right? So that's not how it works. And the number proves it, because let's say you're getting 100 leads a month from your ads, you get 70% show up rate and a 25% close rate, right? And you have a 4K offer. That's around $7,500 in revenue per month, right? Now, what happens when your show up rate drops to 55%, right? Because you've got no pre-call nurture running, right? You just got your revenue in half with the same ad spend, same leads, and just half the money. So that right there is not a traffic problem. It is a back end problem. And now here's where it gets interesting, because if you fix that back end, you get your show up rate up, your close rate up, and you take that extra profit and reinvest it back into your ad spend. Now you're compounding month over month. That means you're scaling, right? Not because you're spending more in ads. It's just basically because you stop the leaks. And look, this isn't something that we just invented, because the biggest players in this space already know this. Acquisition.com, doing a quarter billion in aggregate revenue, built their entire model around nurture sequences and lead segmentation to move prospects from cold to ready to buy. And King Kong from Sabri, who also generated over 7.8 billion in reported client revenue. It also runs a multi-touch automated follow-up system across email, SMS, and Messenger to move leads through their pipeline to a booking, right? And these guys aren't just running ads and hoping for the best, because they've got a machine running in the back end that is doing the heavy lifting. So, and the call flow system is that machine, and it is built specifically for coaches and consultants that is running a book of call funnels with paid traffic. So let me just walk you through it, because there are 7 sequences inside the call flow system, and each one plugs a specific leak in your funnel. And let me just pull this up on this board, because yeah, I've been cooking this up for you. And yeah, here it is. Lead nurture, and this is what happens the moment someone opts in. They're cold, they don't know you, right? This sequence is what warms them up, builds trust, and moves them toward booking a call, right? So most coaches either skip this entirely, or they just send one generic welcome email and they call it a day. So that's where the first leak is gonna happen. And that's why you shouldn't wonder why right now probably your calendar is empty, because you're not booking calls, because you're just letting those leads die without a lead nurture sequence. Now, the next sequence is a pre-call nurture sequence, and this one's triggered after someone book a call, right? And this is what happens between the time they book and the time that they show up, right? So most coaches, they go completely silent at this point. So there's no touch points, and by the time that the call happens, the lead has already gone cold again. So the pre-call sequence is what keeps those leads warm. It's what builds anticipation and handles objections before the call even starts and gets them showing up. Now, how we create a very effective pre-call campaign is based all of those content from your lead, from the questions that your leads are already asking, right? So you can get that from your sales team or your setters and ask them of the most common questions that your leads have during on previous sales calls, or maybe on the inquiries, right? You just gather all those common objections that they have, and you list out all the top questions and objections that they have, and then they use that as the subject line for the email sequences, and then you're just basically answering them inside the email, leading them to a long form content that's gonna dive them deeper. So I'm gonna be also recording a separate video on that, but so yeah, let's just move forward in the next thing. So by the call time happens, there are four things that could happen, right? Number one is uh the deal got closed, right? And second is when they don't show up on a call, so that's a no show, right? And third is when a deal is not closed during the call, and fourth is when they cancel the call before the call even happens, right? So now each one of these touch points all leads to a different sequences, right? So let's just go first on the third sequence, which is the no-show recovery. The no-show recovery is triggered when someone didn't show up on a call, right? So that you don't manually following up them on a call, you just send them a no-show recovery sequence that kills objections early, right? So most coaches is just gonna write that lead off as a dead lead, right? So that's one of the massive mistakes that they do, because this sequence is what goes back after them, right? It re-engages them and it gets them back on the calendar to rebook again, right? That's just a recovered revenue from leads that you already paid for. So now the next thing that we're gonna talk about is when someone cancels the call before the call even happens, right? Because probably a lot of these people are just distracted, maybe life gets in the way for them, maybe their schedule got messed up, right? Maybe they have other appointments. So yeah, we're just gonna re-engage them in case if they cancel the call before the call happens. Then we're gonna re-engage them before they gone cold and forgot that you exist, right? So that's why this is also very important when someone cancels even after before the call happens, because you're gonna be leaking money on this if you're just gonna write them off as a dead list. They're not gonna rebook again, and you've already paid for that lead, so it's going to be a waste on you. You're already wasting money on paying for that lead, and you're just letting it slip away, right? Now the next thing is the close loss follow up, right? And this one is also important because we really can't guarantee a 100% guarantee on uh, deals being closed during a call, because maybe your sales team or any one of your closers messed up during the call. Probably the the lead wasn't so sure about what happened on the call, so that's why we send them a close loss recovery, because they can be a recovered revenue in the future, right? So you're just gonna be doing a a long play game of nurturing them to buy them back in. And yeah, instead of just writing them off, they can be a recovery revenue in the future. Maybe just because the right now the timing was off, or how maybe they just needed more trust from you, and this sequence is just gonna stay in their inbox, right? And it keeps building the relationship, and it's gonna convert them maybe weeks or months later when they're now ready, and that's just pure recovered revenue on your behalf. Now the next thing, and this is one is not part of the four things that I talked earlier, is because this is a dead list reactivation for those leads that that are just sitting on your list right now. In the back end of this, you're gonna clean those leads who haven't opened some of your emails, because this also gonna affect your deliverability. That's why for those leads, we have a separate list for them. We don't send emails on them anymore if they not opening our emails from the lead nurture to the pre-call nurture. Then we're just gonna reactivate them after 30 to 90 days that they have gone cold. We're just gonna revive them to rebook, and probably right now they are actually not a dead lead. They just went cold. So this sequence is what re-engages them and filters out the ones that are ready to move, and it puts them back into your active pipeline. Now here's the next thing, and probably the last one, is when someone got closed on a call, right? And it's going to be the closed one, onboarding, and LTV, and this is what increases the lifetime value of your new clients, right? So someone bought, and most coaches and consultants just focus on entirely on getting the next new lead, and they just completely neglect the client that they just closed, right? So this sequence is what onboards them properly, right? So it delivers an amazing first experience for the client, and it runs ongoing to nurture, to build a lifetime value, right? So because the easiest sale that you'll ever make is to someone who already bought from you, right? So yeah, that is the closed one sequence, and that is also where you can do upsells and referrals for those new clients. All right, that is the call flow system, 7 sequences, and it all plugs the 7 leaks in your sales process. So one back-end infrastructure that is running on autopilot while you just focus on delivering your thing, right? So before I end this video, here's the thing, because you can just take this framework and go build it yourself. And if you do, then great. You just know exactly what needs to be in your back end, right? But if you're doing 50 grand a month or more, you're running paid traffic, and you don't want to spend the next 3 months figuring out how to write and set up all of this for yourself, then that's exactly what we do at Apex Acquisition. So we build the entire call flow system into your funnel for you, done for you. So just you can stop leaking revenue from the leads that you're already paying for, right? And if that sounds something like you want to explore, then there's a link below to book a free call with us, and we'll audit your current funnel, identify exactly where you're leaking, and show you how the call flow system maps to your specific situation. So yeah, click the link, book the call, and let's fix your backend. Have